Hello YouTube, welcome back over to GamingHouse, and if you've been following me on Twitter, I was getting ready to do an operator video, and then I didn't like how it turned out, and I got a lot more playtime in, so I decided to scrap that video, and now I'm here again doing, well, an operator video, talking about the operators, my general impressions and tips of them. Some of the tips may be covered in another video that I'm working on currently, / might be already done with, and that's some tips and tricks as well from my experiences in Rainbow. So here, first up, we got Sludge from the SAS. Sludge, I like him. He's always a good character to bring around with you. That breaching hammer he has is great for pretty much breaking everything. Breaks down castles, barricades, will punch holes clean through walls, and because of that, it allows you to have grenades with you. So if you're playing, say, an objective mode that doesn't involve the hostage, you now have fragmentary grenades to help clear out rooms. Some tips with Sludge, though, is when you're breaching and breaking down stuff, you're vulnerable for a second. So you might want to back away real quick after you hit something. And with that, sometimes it'll create you might get a half hit on something, and that'll take off a layer of the wall. That's covered in tips and tricks, so I'd recommend checking that out. But overall, Sludge, fun character to have, definite good guy to have around. Particularly if you're deciding on your first operator for attackers, he might be one to pick just because he's good in all game modes. Next up, we have Thatcher. Now, Thatcher might not seem very useful at first, but in actuality, that EMP grenade is hella useful. It's particularly also good if you have a team and coordinate with each other for mid-game strats. After you use the EMP grenades to, say, clear out a bunch of the jammers and cameras and other little devices that are hidden near the objective areas. Once those are all cleared out, you can now start sending back in drones to start looking for players and the objectives. And overall, it's useful to have, but only if you remember to keep using the EMP grenades. Because other than that, his only thing is to help clear out gadgets. Next, we have Ash. Ash, to me, is more of a aesthetic use for a special ability, the breaching round. It's good for doing stuff at a distance, causing diversions sometimes, shooting it off in a different wall, and blowing a hole through that when your entire team's going through a different area, and breaching from, say, another side. It's also good. Another fun thing to use it for is repels. If you got a team sitting up there getting ready to repel, shoot that up there, and then maybe that'll blow a hole. They can start peeking in through a window while you go through the bottom or something. But other than that, good character-ish, depending on weapons. I won't talk about weapons for characters just because that's all personal preference. But the special abilities, hers is meh. Next up, we have Thermite, and Thermite's a definite must-have, I'd say, on pretty much any game mode. Just because he has the only thing that can punch through the reinforced walls is his exothermic charge. And with that, you can also bring regular breaching charges if you need to, or you can just bring frag grenades and treat your exothermic charges as regular breaches if you don't see any hardened ones, reinforced ones, to break through. But overall, he is definitely important just for the sole fact that he is the only person that can punch through reinforced. That's the only way to get through certain walls. And that's also good with combination with, say, Thatcher, who can help clear some of the things like the electroshocks and mute jammers that will prevent the exothermic charge from going off. Next up, we have Twitch. And Twitch, from my experience, besides her really good versatile guns, her shock drone is kind of iffy. I haven't actually reading it now. I actually didn't know it could disable traps. I didn't know anyone could use it for that. Maybe I should start telling House of Thieves to start using it for that. But it could definitely injure enemies. It's very iffy because I've seen it injure people going from 100 to all of a sudden 10 health. It's very all over the place because when some of our guys use it, they can't do that much damage to someone. You can actually use it to kill down players if you see any. It's got limited use, other than also the other fact that now you also have another drone in your arsenal to deploy as an attacker, because now that brings your total to 3 drones you can deploy in a mission. Montaigne, I'll talk a little bit more about Montaigne specifically, but in general, getting to shield people, saying there is 3 of them with shields, You're not really gonna be the guy that's gonna be wiping out an entire team unless they're really stupid or you get really lucky, like really lucky with hipfire. Because with this, they made hipfire like horrendous for the shield people, or that, or just all of us are god awful unlucky. But the good thing with shield people is that you can act as a, first off, a diversion if the enemy team doesn't know how to deal with shields, and second off, you can act as a call out. Particularly with Montaigne, his shield deploys fully, covering his entire front of his body. You can instantly enter into a room, take some glances around, and call out enemies for your teammates while being somewhat invulnerable. You can still be killed by nitro cells, and of course, if you turn too much, they can start hitting your limbs. But other than that, as a support role, Montaigne's pretty good. Just don't be expecting to be the guy that's going to be killing a whole lot of people unless you get lucky. Glaz, not a lot of our people use Glaz, but Glaz does have his uses. Particularly if you use any of the sniper purchase and peer into stuff, he can actually nail some people that aren't expecting it. His sniper rifle is very, very, very high damage, and in some cases a one-hit kill. Particularly also in Terrorist Hunt, it's a one-hit kill at close range, so that means it'll one-hit kill or at least down a player at close range shot. Also with his flip sight, they did an update that messed with it, so it's not as big of a red hue on it, but also his flip sight makes it a lot easier to see in the buildings during daytime, because this game, unless you mess with the brightness, its default settings, it's dumb as hell looking inside and outside during the daytime versions of maps. And his flip sight helps alleviate some of that glare and darkness. Next up we have Fuse. Fuse is by far one of my favorite characters. Unfortunately, he's not a character you want to bring, say, on hostage rescue, because it's very risky for his cluster charge. With the cluster charge, it's great for clearing out areas, especially if you coordinate with the team and know where they're at. You could easily kill anywhere from one to practically the entire team if they're all huddled up in one area. Because this thing, depending on where they bounce also, because they're very iffy, it'll clear out a whole room. Just don't bring them on hostage, because that'll you have a chance to kill the hostage, and that won't be good. Next up we have IQ. Now IQ might not seem very useful at first, because the electronics detector is meta to some people, but not a lot of people set up traps that you don't already know about, such as nitro cells, which is what you can use in Terrorist Hunt to identify is those hallways that are just bombarded with nitro cells, or any of the jammer devices and everything. But her real value, besides weapons, which are pretty decent, is also it'll be covered again in the tips and tricks video, but her detector can pick up the actual bombs and the secure area objective areas. If you don't find those, her device can actually pick those up. Now Blitz is the other that's primary shield guy. I didn't mention with Fuse. Fuse also has a shield, but with Fuse, unless you're trying to rock like 3 shields at once to be like total troll status, Fuse has good weapons, and I'd use it with him. But back on to Blitz, because we're on Blitz. He also has the other primary shield in the game. His however has the ability to flash people. He has about a charge of 5 flashes, and it's good if you get the drop on people, of course, and they're not expecting to be flashed, and they get flashed. That'll help, again, be supportive for your teammates, because now they got a guy that's blind. He's going to be kind of either blindly spraying, wasting all of his ammo in his magazine, or he's going to back off into an area, allowing your team to push forward, flank him, or hopefully you can actually kill him. So now we're going to go ahead and get in defenders. Smoke has these gas grenades, which work as a great area of denial. They're fairly damaging. Pretty much, unless a guy at full health sits in it and gets killed, he won't die unless he just sits in it if he's at full health. However, if you're sitting there shooting at a guy and wait to detonate it, it'll be great to help either kill him right then and there, or he'll at least be really fucked up by the time he gets away, in combination with bullets and gas. And also, if you need to create distance or create sort of a diversion, you could just lob it and detonate it and then back away from a firefight, assuming that they are not able to back away far enough from the door to see you through the gas and kill you. All around, I'd say he's okay. Like, bring him only if you know how to use the smoke grenades. Mute Mute's definitely an important player in Defenders because of the jammers. Again, this will be covered in the tips video as well. If you've seen it or haven't seen it yet, check it out. It'll be covered there again. His jammers stop electronic devices such as drones, or more importantly, if you place them next to walls, they will stop the breaching charges. They cannot be detonated. So that's an important cool feature in both stopping the pregame of drones finding out your game plan and the objective areas, to also just general defense of stopping the attackers from breaching certain areas. Castle's got these reinforced armor panels he's able to place onto walls instead of your standard wooden panels. He could place these armored panels, which are more resilient to bullets. If you shoot them enough times, they'll start to break holes into them and also eventually be destroyed. But other than that, they're pretty much will stop normal bullets. Glass can shoot through them. Watch out for that. But it's good if you work with, say, Mute to stop them from breaching them, and also make good sort of area denial / they gotta either use Sludge or breaching charge to get through it. Not gonna sit there and melee it the entire time and get through it. Next up we have Pulse. Pulse is definitely less use of ours, particularly because, well, we like using the other characters more, and also with his cardiac sensor, you're gonna need to have communication amongst your team, and if you're playing by yourself or just with one or two guys, you're going to be able to call out the enemy to those people you're actually able to speak to, which works a certain distance. They'll sit there and they'll pop up on the little cardiac sensor, and it's good, but only if you're really working together with your team, able to call people out that are coming. Other than that, there's like no purpose to using Pulse. Doc's got limited use in Versus. There are times where he could be useful, or you could save someone's life or save your own life if you could get away after being down, but most of the time in Versus, if someone is downed, more than likely they are going to be killed soon after. Someone will either finish him off or a teammate will finish him off on the other team. He is more useful, I'd say, in Terrorist Hunt, where if someone goes down, they're not immediately shot and killed, so Doc can actually revive them from a distance or revive himself. So for Terrorist Hunt, he's more useful than he is in, say, Versus, unless you like to use his weapons, and again, he has one of the characters that is high armor, low speed. Rook's a character for defenders that you definitely want to consider bringing along. His armor plates seem more as... in Versus, it might seem aesthetic, but it'll definitely save one or two bullets. Again, a shot to the head's going to kill you no matter what. But if you have distance from the attackers, you're definitely going to start taking a little bit more bullets. Not to mention, this allows you to actually be downed multiple times. This comes into fruitilation? I don't know. You realize this more in Terrorist Hunt as defenders, where you could be down multiple times after picking up the armor plates. So he's definitely a character to consider blading at least into Terrorist Hunt. And Versus. Capkin's got these entry denial devices. Again, tips and tricks videos to find out more about them. Essentially, you might not get kills in Versus unless you got players that don't know to look for them or just aren't paying attention, and you might get lucky, but most of the time they're going to be destroyed or dodged. Terrorist Hunt, they work out in getting some kills in areas if the terrorists spawn and go through them. A tip about it, though, if you're going to use them for Terrorist Hunt, is to put the booby traps on doorways that are not barricaded. If you put them in combination with barricades, the terrorists will breach those, which will end up destroying the booby trap, and therefore it's useless. Tachanka is more of a fun character to use if you could get his machine gun to deploy in an area. His machine gun's stupidly finicky on its deploying areas. And if you get it to deploy, you can kind of shut down an area. It's very risky in multiplayer, however, with the machine gun, because again, you're stuck sitting still. So someone, either the netcode works in their favor, or they just get a drop on you, they're going to kill you before you get a chance to actually get some shots off. Whereas in Terrorist Hunt, it's good for locking down a whole area, and particularly bomb defusal, where they start sending waves. Tachanka can pretty much hold a whole hallway by himself till he's got to reload. Bandit. Bandit's a character I've come to use a lot when I'm not playing as Mute or someone else. Particularly because his Shockwire is very useful in attaching to metallic gadgets. And this refers to like barbed wire and reinforced walls. For barbed wire, it's more of an area denial. It'll stop drones if they drive through them because it'll damage them. You can actually kill players if they sit long enough in the barbed wire, whether at full health or, again, if they've been damaged before. I've gotten kills with it. It's funny, just because I don't think people expect it sometimes. And if they're not... you kind of have to look for the little giant batteries in these if you're actually going to use them or look out for them. So a lot of people pay attention to those. Again, also you can put them on reinforced walls, so act as a denial for breaching charges, and again, if they get near it, people will get damaged. Last up, Yeager. Yeager to me seems mostly useless unless you're planning to sit in an objective area. Particularly because his active defense is more of just being anti-fuse. Because an active defense will essentially cancel out a fuse charge. Other than that, you don't want to bring them for hostage because you kind of want the attackers to accidentally kill the hostage. Because that'd be great. That's an instant victory. But other than that, he's mostly anti-fuse. He's just stopping fuse from killing your entire team. So you only want to set up his stuff near stuff where fuse would set up. And drop grenades, which... it's hard to predict. But that'll do it for this video. This ended up being a long video. Again, it's just me talking about the operators. Let me know your favorite operators, which guys you like to use, which guys you don't like. Maybe you think they're useless, maybe they're blah. Check out the channel for more Rainbow Six stuff, more other game stuff, reviews, all that fun stuff. I'm saying stuff a lot because I'm tired. But as always, you're welcome to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun YouTube-y stuff. God damn it, I said it again. And as always, you're welcome to come back over to GamingHouse for more gameplay and commentary.